The twin suns of Valen Prime burned over the glass towers of the interstellar embassy. Inside, banners from dozens of alien worlds waved in the cool air. Humans and aliens walked together, speaking through translators and smiles. It was a day of peace, a historic alliance signing after years of war. Ethan Ward, a human mechanic-turned-bodyguard, stood near the main podium. His dark armor had no shine, no medals, only the scars of battles he never talked about. He watched quietly, scanning the crowd. His duty was clear: protect Ambassador Lyra Vesh, the wolfkin diplomat from the alien world of Rakara. Lyra stood tall and calm beside the podium. Her silver fur shimmered under the embassy lights, her golden eyes watching everything with quiet intelligence. Many humans were uneasy around her kind. The wolfkin were known for their strength and temper, but Ethan had never feared her. He respected her. She respected him. In the middle of politics and distrust, they had learned to trust each other. The hall filled with alien music, strange and beautiful. Lyra stepped forward to speak. Her voice echoed low and proud. Today we begin a future where claws and hands will build together, not tear apart. Applause filled the chamber. Cameras flashed. Ethan's earpiece hummed with chatter. The security teams reporting clear zones, safe exits, all good. Then he heard it. A single word in his earpiece. Movement. Second balcony left side. Ethan's body moved before his mind did. He turned toward the balcony just as a shadow lifted a silver-barreled weapon. The next second stretched into forever. A shot of blue plasma tore through the air, aimed straight for Lyra's chest. Without a thought, Ethan dove forward. The blast hit him square in the shoulder, throwing him to the floor. The crowd screamed. Panic exploded in every direction. Alarms blared, guards shouted orders, and chaos swallowed the hall. Lyra fell to her knees beside him. Her hands, clawed but gentle, pressed against the wound. Smoke rose from his armor. Ethan tried to speak but coughed instead. The heat burned deep through skin and bone. Lyra looked up, her eyes glowing gold. "No, not him," she whispered in her native tongue. "You will not take him." The assassins fired again, but this time the air itself seemed to move. Lyra raised her hand and a burst of violet energy threw the attackers back into the walls. Security drones swarmed in, locking the exits. The crowd ran for safety, leaving only smoke, flashing lights, and the sound of Ethan's slowing heartbeat. "Stay back," he said weakly.
"They might still—" I said quiet, she growled softly.
"You've done enough." She tore a piece from her cloak and pressed it to his wound. But the burn didn't stop bleeding. His eyes dimmed. "Guess peace talks never go easy," he joked faintly. Lyra didn't smile. Her face was fierce, almost wild. She reached into a pouch and pulled out a small crystal that pulsed with inner light. She pressed it to her chest, then to his. The crystal cracked. Light spread between them, threads of golden energy weaving from her heart into his. "Lyra." "What?" "Silence," she whispered. "If you die, part of me dies too. So I won't let you." Ethan felt warmth flooding through him, pushing out the pain. His vision cleared for a moment, enough to see her tears glowing against her fur. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes, hours later, the hall was quiet. He was lying on a medical table, his wound sealed, skin unmarked. The machine said he was stable. Lyra sat near him, her hand resting on his. "You live," she said simply, "because I broke the oldest law of my people." Ethan blinked. "What law?" She looked away, her golden eyes dim under the light. "The bond. Life for life. I gave you part of mine." The door burst open. Alien guards and human officers stepped in, faces filled with shock and confusion. One shouted, "What did she do to him?" Lyra rose slowly, standing between them and Ethan. Her shadow stretched long on the white floor. "He saved my life. Now his is tied to mine. You will not touch him." Her voice was calm but sharp as a blade. The guards hesitated. No one dared move closer. Outside, sirens screamed across the city, and the news already spread across the stars. The Wolfkin ambassador had bonded with a human, and that bond would change everything. The first thing Ethan felt was warmth, not the cold light of machines, but something alive and soft. He opened his eyes slowly. The ceiling above him glowed faint blue, carved with alien runes. The sound of humming energy surrounded him. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. "Stay still," said a calm, familiar voice. He turned his head. Lyra Vesh sat beside his bed, her silver fur glinting under the med lamp. Her yellow eyes watched him like fire behind glass. She looked tired, more than tired, but peaceful, as if something heavy inside her had already been decided. Ethan's throat was dry. "How long have I been out?" "3 cycles," she said softly. "Almost 3 human days. The healers did what they could, but your body rejected their medicine, so I did what I had to." Ethan blinked, confused. "Did what?" Lyra's ears flicked back slightly, a sign of guilt among her kind. "I used the bond essence, an ancient wolfkin rite. It joins 2 lives and 1 heart to another." He frowned, trying to process. "You mean you linked us?" "Yes," she did not hide it. "If your heart stops, mine will too." He stared at her, half in disbelief, half in awe. "You risked your life for me?" Lyra looked down, tracing a pattern on the floor with her claw. "You jumped in front of a plasma shot for me, human. Was I supposed to watch you die for a treaty?" Silence filled the room. Only the soft pulse of the machines remained. Ethan tried to think of something clever to say, but all that came out was, "You're crazy." A small smile touched her lips. "So are you. That's why we survived the war." He leaned back, breathing slowly. His chest no longer hurt. Instead, he felt something strange. A rhythm deep inside, steady and strong. Like a second heartbeat, faint but real. He placed a hand on his chest. "It's your heartbeat," Lyra said. "Part of it lives in you now. That's how the bond works." He tried to laugh but stopped halfway. "Well, that's romantic in a very dangerous way." Lyra chuckled softly. "You humans always find humor in madness." Then her face grew serious. "But the council won't find it funny. They already sent word. They are furious." Ethan frowned. "Why? I didn't ask for this." "They don't care," she said. "A wolfkin female bonding with a human breaks every law in our code. To them, I've shamed my bloodline. Then tell them it was my fault." She shook her head. "It doesn't matter whose fault. The bond is permanent. It cannot be undone without killing one of us." Ethan's stomach sank. "Then what happens now?" Lyra looked at him with quiet strength. "We run or we fight. I haven't decided yet." He almost laughed again. "You sound like a general." She tilted her head. "Once I was." That silence again, but this time it wasn't awkward. It was heavy with unspoken emotion. Ethan noticed her eyes, tired but gentle, the same eyes that had watched him through war, through distrust, through the years of rebuilding. He finally said, "Why me, Lyra? Why not just let me go? You could have chosen anyone." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Because when you took that shot, I remembered something my mother told me before she died. One day you'll meet someone whose soul will move at the same rhythm as yours. Don't let them fall." She looked at him directly now. "That rhythm was yours." Ethan didn't know what to say. His chest ached, not from the wound, but from something deeper, something human, something real. A loud alarm interrupted the quiet moment. Red light flashed through the room. Lyra's ears snapped upright. "They found us." The door slid open and a group of armored wolfkin enforcers stepped in. Their captain's voice was harsh. "Ambassador Lyra Vesh, you have violated sacred law. The council orders you to sever the bond and surrender the human." Ethan tried to stand but stumbled. Lyra moved fast, faster than he had ever seen her. In one motion, she blocked the captain's blade and knocked 2 soldiers to the ground. Her voice was ice. "If I sever this bond, he dies. You will have to kill me first." The soldiers hesitated. Ethan reached for a blaster lying nearby. "Lyra, we can't fight them all." She smiled faintly. "Then we won't. Hold your breath." She slammed her palm against a wall rune. A hidden door burst open behind them, revealing a tunnel of blue light. The 2 of them ran inside as the guards shouted and the door sealed shut. Ethan gasped, feeling his heart race in sync with hers. "Where are we going?" Lyra's tail flicked behind her as she sprinted. To the only place they won't follow, the shadow forest. As the tunnel lights flickered behind them, Ethan realized something he hadn't before. This wasn't just about survival, it was about a bond that defied worlds. The tunnel spat them out into the dark edge of Valon Prime's shadow forest, a strange land glowing with blue mist and tall crystal trees. The air shimmered with quiet life, like the forest itself was watching. Ethan stumbled out first, clutching his chest. The bond made every breath feel heavier now, almost alive. Lyra scanned the forest, her fur bristling slightly. "We're safe for now," she said. "The council's guards won't follow us here. They fear the energy of this place." Ethan sat on a rock, breathing hard. "You said this forest is dangerous." "It is," she replied. "But not to me. My ancestors were born here." He tried to catch his breath. "And what about me? Your half-bonded human tag-along?" Her lips curved slightly. "Stay close and it will not harm you. You are part of me now." Ethan gave a weak laugh. "That's the strangest safety tip I've ever heard." They walked deeper into the glowing trees. Small creatures scurried between roots, their eyes bright like stars. The light of the twin moons filtered through crystal branches. For a brief moment it felt peaceful. Ethan even forgot the pain in his shoulder. The bond seemed to pulse softly, healing him faster than human science ever could. But that peace didn't last long. A humming noise rose from the sky. A council drone appeared above them, scanning the forest floor with red light. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm and pulled him behind a fallen tree. "It's broadcasting our position," she whispered. Ethan frowned. "They're tracking us already?" "Yes, they'll send the tribunal guard next. We need to move." But before they could, a voice echoed through the forest. Calm, powerful, and familiar. "Lyra Vesh, you cannot hide from judgment." From the mist, a tall alien figure emerged. Elder Kor, the leader of the Wolf Council. His fur was pure white, his robe lined with gold. Behind him stood 6 armored guards, weapons drawn but not raised. Lyra's claws flexed at her sides. "You shouldn't be here, Elder." "I come not to hunt," Kor said, "but to end a mistake before it dooms 2 worlds." Ethan stepped forward, ignoring Lyra's warning glance. "If you're here to arrest her, you'll have to go through me." The Elder turned his sharp eyes toward the human. "Brave words for a fragile species. You don't understand what she's done." "She saved me," Ethan said. "That's all I need to understand." Kor's voice grew colder. "She has broken the sacred bond law, a link between species forbidden since the war." "Do you know why, human? Because such bonds twist the soul. Your hearts now beat as one. If she feels rage, you will too. If she dies, you both vanish." Ethan glanced at Lyra, realizing for the first time what that truly meant. "You didn't tell me that part," he said quietly. Lyra met his eyes. "Because it doesn't matter. I made my choice." Elder Kor raised his staff, the tip glowing red. "Then I must make mine." Energy flashed. The guards moved in a blur. Lyra lunged, claws slicing through one weapon, sparks flying. Ethan grabbed a fallen plasma rifle and fired at the ground, sending up smoke. The forest roared to life, its crystals vibrating with the echo of battle. "Run!" Lyra shouted. They darted between glowing roots. The forest energy reacted to their bond. Light pulsed around them, shielding them from blasts. Elder Kor shouted after them, "You cannot hide from fate. The bond will consume you both." When they finally stopped miles away, Ethan collapsed beside a pool of glowing water. He said, "Consume us." What did he mean? Lyra knelt, dipping her hand into the water. Her reflection looked tired and afraid. "If our emotions fall out of balance, the bond becomes poison. It will merge our minds, destroy our sense of self. So if one of us breaks, we both break." She nodded silently. Ethan sat quietly, watching the ripples. "Then we don't break," he said finally. "Simple as that." Lyra looked at him, something soft flickering in her golden eyes. "You humans always say impossible things like they're easy." He smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why we survive everything." A distant howl echoed through the forest. Lyra stood, ears alert. "The council won't stop. They'll come again, and next time they won't show mercy." Ethan rose beside her, gripping his rifle. "Then let them come." "I'm done running." Lyra stared at him for a long moment, then nodded once. "Then we stand together, human." Until the end. The forest light shimmered brighter around them like it understood, and far above the council's ships began to descend. Judgment still coming. The shadow forest glowed like a living storm. Crystals hummed. Mist floated around the roots. The air was thick with light and danger. Ethan followed close behind Lyra, his boots crunching softly on glowing moss. "Don't fall behind," she said. "This forest remembers fear. If you panic, it reacts," Ethan smirked. "Great, a forest that can smell terror. Just what I needed." Lyra didn't laugh. Her golden eyes scanned the dark sky. Above, faint dots moved. Council drones, silent and patient. They were hunting. The forest whispered with strange energy. When Ethan touched a nearby tree, it pulsed under his hand like a heartbeat. He pulled away fast. These things are alive? Everything here is, Lyra replied. Even the air. It listens. Ethan looked around, amazed and uneasy. Remind me again why this is safer than a city with guards and medics. Lyra glanced back at him. Because the forest protects those who belong. And now, whether you like it or not, you are part of me. That means it will protect you too. They moved deeper where the light dimmed to purple. Ethan felt his chest tighten. The bond pulsed again, faster. Every time Lyra tensed, his heart raced. When she breathed deeply, his body calmed. It was strange and intimate. He whispered, "It's like we share one heartbeat." Lyra didn't answer. She only said quietly, "Do not think too loudly." The bond hears everything. Then the silence broke. A screech echoed across the trees, followed by flashes of red. The council trackers had entered the forest. Their armored suits glowed with scanning beams. "They're here," Ethan shouted. Lyra's ears twitched. "Run!" They sprinted through the glowing maze. Plasma bolts cut through the mist, lighting the dark. Ethan rolled behind a fallen trunk. Lyra leapt above him, flipping in midair. Claws slashing one drone in half. Sparks showered the moss. "Go!" she barked. Ethan grabbed his blaster and fired at the closest soldier. The energy beam hit a tree. The crystal exploded with blinding light. The shockwave threw everyone back. The forest reacted. Vines uncoiled like serpents wrapping around the fallen soldiers. The drone screamed and fizzled out. Ethan stared, wide-eyed. Did the forest just fight for us? Lyra landed beside him, breathing heavily. I told you. It listens. It knows who bleeds in truth. They found a small cave under a giant root. Inside, faint blue moss lit the walls. They sat in silence, listening to the distant hunt fading away. Ethan broke the quiet first. You could have left me, you know. Saved yourself. Lyra looked at him, her voice low. You think I would? I broke my people's law for you. There is no going back now. He smiled weakly. I'm sorry. Guess I didn't plan on being this much trouble. She shook her head. You humans never plan. You just jump into danger and ask questions after. He chuckled softly. Yeah, that sounds about right. A faint warmth passed through the bond, not from pain or fear, but from something deeper. Lyra looked away quickly. Rest, we move again at dawn. Ethan leaned back against the wall. You know, he said quietly, for a warrior diplomat, you're not half bad company. Lyra's tail flicked once. Sleep, human. But he saw the small smile she tried to hide. Hours passed. Outside, the forest glowed under the twin moons. Inside the cave, the heartbeat link between them pulsed steady and calm. Then in the distance, a new sound. The deep rumble of engines. Lyra's ears rose instantly. They've sent hunters, she whispered. Ethan's hand went to his weapon. More drones? No, she said grimly. Wolfkin soldiers. My own kind. She stood, eyes glowing gold again. They won't stop until one of us is dead. Ethan rose beside her. Then we don't die. Not tonight. Lyra looked at him, human eyes meeting alien gold. For the first time, there was no fear between them. Only resolve. Outside, red lights cut through the fog. The hunters had arrived. The forest went silent, holding its breath before the next storm. The storm that had swallowed Valon Prime was finally gone. The twin suns rose over the city, painting the broken skyline in soft gold. The once mighty council tower was now a crater of glowing dust, and vines of crystal had spread through its ruins, silent, alive, and peaceful. No one spoke for a long time. The warships in orbit held their fire. The soldiers below laid down their weapons. Something greater than fear filled the air, something like awe. The bond explosion had not destroyed the world. It had changed it. 3 days later, the council chambers reopened, not as a court of judgment, but as a hall of peace. Representatives from both human and wolfkin worlds stood together. They spoke softly now, not shouting, not accusing. At the center of the chamber stood Elder Kor, his once white fur now marked with gray ash. He looked tired, but his voice was steady as he faced the assembly. Ambassador Lyra Vesh and Captain Ethan Ward broke our laws, he said, but perhaps our laws were broken long before they acted. We taught our children to fear what is different, and yet they showed us what unity truly means. He turned toward the crater beyond the window. They destroyed this tower not out of hatred, but to end a cycle of control. They gave everything so others could choose freely again. Murmurs filled the room, some doubtful, some inspired. And then, something impossible happened. The great doors of the chamber opened. Two figures stepped inside, walking slowly, hand in hand, Lyra and Ethan. Gasps echoed through the hall. Lyra's silver fur was dull with ash, but her golden eyes burned bright. Ethan's armor was cracked, but he stood tall beside her. They looked alive, changed but alive. Kor's eyes widened. It cannot be. The bond? Lyra spoke softly, her voice carrying through the silence. The bond survived. Because we stopped fighting it, Ethan added. It didn't destroy us. It balanced us. Two hearts, one rhythm. Human and alien, not against each other, but together. The hall fell silent. Then one by one the delegates began to rise, some bowing, some saluting. The meaning was clear. The old laws were dead. Weeks passed. The ruins of the old tower became the foundation of a new building, the Embassy of the Twin Suns. Humans and wolfkin worked side by side to rebuild. Ethan returned to his old trade, repairing ships and teaching young mechanics. Lyra became an advisor, not a diplomat bound by rules, but a guide for both species learning to understand each other. Sometimes, people whispered stories about them, how the human bodyguard and the alien diplomat defied the galaxy to protect one another. Children told tales of the two-hearted bond, saying it was proof that even the coldest stars could share warmth if they beat together. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, Ethan stood on the new embassy's balcony. The sky glowed violet. Below, crowds celebrated the new treaty. Music filled the air, human instruments mixed with wolfkin chants. Lyra walked up beside him, her fur catching the last light. You still think too much, she said softly. He smiled. Just wondering if we really changed anything. She leaned against him. Look around, he did. Humans and aliens laughed together in the streets, gasped on sharing food, songs, and stories. No walls, no guards. No fear, yeah, he said quietly. Guess we did. Lyra looked up at the sky. The bond between us may fade one day, but what it taught them will not. Ethan nodded. What did it teach them? She smiled. That courage isn't killing for peace. It's understanding for peace, he chuckled. You always find the right words? Lyra tilted her head, eyes glowing in the dusk. That's because you gave me the heart to speak them. They stood in silence for a while, watching as fireworks lit the sky, human colors mixing with alien light. The bond between them pulsed softly, not as a chain, but as a heartbeat of two worlds finally in harmony. A statue was later built at the embassy gates, a human and a wolfkin standing side by side, holding a single torch that burned with twin flames. Beneath it was carved the words Lyra once said in her native tongue. Some bonds are not written by law, but by the courage to understand. Final message. Moral. Unity isn't born from sameness. It's forged through sacrifice, trust, and the will to stand beside one another even when the universe says you should not. Morning came slow and red over the shadow forest. The mist turned golden under the twin suns and everything looked peaceful again. Too peaceful. Ethan sat near the cave's mouth, cleaning the small blaster he had taken from a fallen guard. His eyes were tired but alert. Lyra stood nearby, silent, watching the horizon. The glow of dawn made her fur shine silver white. Her expression was calm, but her tail flicked, a sign of worry. They'll come again, Ethan said quietly. They always do, she replied. Wolfkin never give up the hunt, Ethan smiled faintly. Sounds familiar. Humans don't either. For a short moment, they both almost laughed. Two warriors who should have been enemies, now sharing quiet before chaos. But peace never lasts long on Valon Prime. A faint chirp echoed from Lyra's wrist comm. Ethan frowned. What's that? An old frequency, she said. From the human embassy. They claim they can extract us. Ethan's heart lifted. Seriously? That's great. We can... Lyra raised a claw to silence him.
It could be a trap. He nodded slowly.
Yeah, but if it's not, we could finally get off this planet. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Then she whispered, I'll send a response, but stay ready. An hour later, a small ship descended through the glowing sky, sleek and silver, bearing human symbols. Ethan exhaled, relieved. It's one of ours. They stepped out from the cave as the ship landed, Two human officers walked down the ramp wearing peacekeeper armor. The taller one smiled. Captain Ward? Ambassador Lyra Vesh? We're here under Earth Command's orders. You're safe now? Lyra didn't move. Her ears tilted back slightly. Safe, she repeated softly. Ethan felt a strange chill but ignored it. He stepped forward. We appreciate the rescue. We just need medical. A sharp click echoed. The officer's sidearm was already raised. I'm sorry, Captain, he said coldly. But we can't allow this bond to continue. The council demanded cooperation. You're both under arrest. Lyra's eyes flared gold. You betray your own? The second officer spoke. You've created a biological link between species. The council says it's unstable. If it spreads, it could break the treaty. Ethan clenched his fists. We saved each other. You're calling that a crime? The officer shook his head. Orders are orders. Suddenly a stun shot fired, blue light hitting Ethan's chest. He collapsed to his knees, body shaking. Lyra roared, her claws flashing. She struck one soldier aside, but three more dropped from the ship surrounding her. Energy nets snapped tight around her body. Ethan, she shouted, struggling. He tried to rise, but the shock made his limbs weak. Don't hurt her. The officer stepped closer, cold eyes on them both. You'll both be delivered to the high tribunal. They'll decide your fate. Lyra's voice was low and sharp. You mean execution? No one answered her. The ship engines roared. As the ramp lifted, Ethan looked up at Lyra, trapped but still fierce. She met his gaze, and through the bond, he felt her emotions clearly. Anger, sorrow, and guilt. Hours later, inside a cold metal chamber, Ethan awoke chained to a wall. Lyra sat across from him, restrained by glowing cuffs that suppressed her power. He groaned. So much for rescue. Her voice was calm but heavy. I warned you, Ethan sighed. Yeah, I just wanted to believe someone still cared about peace. Lyra looked down. They care about control. Not peace. The door slid open. Elder Kor entered again. His white fur spotless, his eyes tired. The council meets tonight, he said. You will both stand trial for breaking the sacred bond. Ethan glared at him. You call saving someone's life a crime? Kor's voice was quiet. You think this is love, human? It is a sickness. It cannot exist between worlds. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Then maybe your world is the one that's sick. Kor's hand trembled slightly, the only sign of emotion. You've always been stubborn, Lyra. I hoped better for you. He turned to leave, but stopped at the door. At dawn, the bond will be severed by force. If it kills the human, that is the price of balance. The door shut behind him with a hiss. Ethan's breath caught. They're going to kill me to free you. Lyra's voice broke. I won't let them. He shook his head. You can't fight the entire council. She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly through tears. I don't need to fight them all. Just enough to reach you. For the first time, Ethan realized she meant it. As night fell, thunder rolled across the sky. Outside, the council tower lit up with strange light, the color of judgment. Inside their cell, the bond pulsed stronger than ever, as if it knew what was coming. And far away, hidden deep under the forest, something old began to awaken, an energy that would soon change everything. The storm outside the council tower tore across the glowing city of Valon Prime. Lightning struck the tall spires, and thunder rolled like the roar of ancient beasts. Inside the cold chamber, Ethan Ward sat in silence, his wrists bound by metal cuffs that pulsed with blue light. Across from him, Lyra Vesh knelt inside a containment ring, her claws restrained, her eyes dim but still burning with golden fire. The clock above them ticked down toward dawn. The moment they start the severance, she said quietly, the bond will try to fight back. It will burn through our veins. Ethan gave a small, crooked smile. Sounds like a terrible way to start the morning. Lyra frowned, ears flattening. This isn't a joke, human, he sighed. I know, I just don't want this to be the last thing we say to each other. For a second, her expression softened. Then the door opened with a hiss. Elder Kor entered, followed by guards in silver armor. He carried a staff that glowed at the tip, the severance rod, an ancient weapon of their kind. Lyra Vesh of Rakara, Kor said, voice echoing. And Ethan Ward of Earth. By decree of the High Council, your bond shall end at sunrise. The balance must be restored. Lyra's growl was low and sharp. You mean execution? Kor did not answer. He raised his staff, and the room filled with light. The energy field around them tightened. Ethan gasped as heat spread through his chest, the bond reacting in pain. Lyra cried out, her body trembling. "Stop!" Ethan shouted. "You'll kill her." "That is the cost," Kor said coldly. The bond flared brighter, linking their pain. Ethan saw flashes, Lyra's memories flooding into his mind. Her childhood under twin moons. Her first battle. The moment she chose to save him. It all surged inside him like fire. Through the agony he met her eyes. "I can feel you. All of you," she gasped between breaths. Then, "Listen." The bond pulsed again and suddenly the metal cuffs shattered. Energy poured from Ethan's body, golden threads swirling like living light. The guard stumbled back in shock. Kor shouted, "Contain them!" But it was too late. The bond had awakened. Lyra rose, claws glowing, her fur blazing with radiant light. The Wolfkin guards tried to attack, but their weapons melted from the energy pulse. Ethan stood beside her, his eyes glowing the same gold. They moved as one, every step, every breath in perfect rhythm. When one guard lunged, Ethan caught his strike barehanded. The weapon sparked uselessly. "We're done being your prisoners," he said. Lyra slammed her claws into the ground. The floor cracked open, releasing a surge of old forest energy, the same power from the shadow woods. Roots of glowing crystal burst through the walls, wrapping around the guards and pulling them aside. Kor stumbled back, shouting, "You're tearing the bond apart. You'll both die." Lyra stepped closer, her voice calm, fierce. "Maybe, but at least we'll die free." The room filled with light so bright it turned the metal walls transparent. Ethan could feel the energy burning inside him. Part of her, part of him, mixing into one pulse. His knees weakened, but Lyra caught him before he fell. He whispered, "We can't win this way. The bond's too strong." She nodded slowly, her face inches from his. "Then we choose how it ends." She looked toward the tower's power core, a massive reactor glowing through the glass wall behind Kor. That core links every defense drone and council shield. If we destroy it, their control dies with it. Ethan blinked through pain. "We destroy the tower?" "Yes," she said, "and free everyone they rule through fear." He hesitated only a second, then nodded. "Together," Lyra smiled softly. Together, they turned toward the core. Kor shouted and raised his staff again, but Lyra moved faster. She hurled her energy into Ethan, and he fired the last plasma round into the reactor's heart. A brilliant explosion of gold and blue light consumed the chamber. The blast shook the city, tearing through the clouds. The council tower burned like a star. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the bond surged one last time. Lyra's voice echoed in Ethan's mind. "If one of us must fade, let it be with purpose." He whispered back, "No. We live or die as one." The light swallowed them both. When the dust settled, the tower was gone. Only ashes and glowing crystal roots remained. The city's defenses were down, and across the stars, news spread that the council's control had ended. But no one could find Lyra or Ethan. Only 2 sets of footprints led from the ruins, and then vanished into the light of dawn.